Cincinnati. It's the Skyline Chili Crosstown Shootout at the Cintas Center. It's a top 25 matchup. Number 11, Cincinnati against number 21, Xavier. And oh boy, is this going to be fun. Hello there, everybody. Justin Kutcher alongside Len Elmore. And Len, you have been a part of many of these crosstown shootouts. What do we have in store today?
Well, over my decades of broadcasting, I've also done Louisville, Kentucky. I've seen Duke and Carolina. And as far as intensity is concerned, this crosstown shootout takes no back seat to any of those. It's about the city. It's more than the players. It's about the proximity. It's about the schools. This is the Hatfield and McCoys of college basketball.
Yeah, clearly stated, they don't like each other. Let's take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by the Jeep Grand Cherokee for the visiting Bearcats just 3.5 miles away. Justin Jennifer has taken over the role as the starting point guard. Gary Clark is the reigning AAC Player of the Week. For the Xavier Musketeers, they are led by Trevon Bluiett, had 40 in this matchup last year. JP McCura, he is his classmate. He is having a great year, and we are all set to play some basketball. Xavier is in white, Cincinnati is in black, and this place is sold out. Xavier has not lost a non-conference game at the Cintas Center in their last 34, and the tip is controlled by the Bearcats.
We take a look at Xavier. They start out in man-to-man. This is a high-scoring Cincinnati Bearcat team, averaging 88 points per game, something they have rarely seen in their history.
Roger Ayers, Doug Shouse, and Lamar Simpson get the assignment as the officials. The three by Justin Jennifer is no good. The rebound taken down by Tyreek Jones. And here is Quentin Gooden. Gooden the kick out, Bluiett.
Cincinnati also in man-to-man. You'll see them try to apply a lot of pressure after they make a basket.
Shot clock to 10. McCura, the deep three, front rims it. Rebound chased down by Kaiser Gates.
And that's one of the things Xavier has to be able to do. They've got to maximize possessions and it maybe create more possessions against an outstanding defensive team in Cincinnati.
Last year, the rebounding advantage went the way of the Bearcats. Nice high-low play underneath for Tyreek Jones.
Well, we saw them practice that play yesterday, bringing their shooters to one side and taking away the help side, and the lob was right there.
Jennifer's picked up by McCura. Jaron Cumberland. Gary Clark against Gates. Jennifer gets in the paint, puts up the tough shot with the left. No, McCura the rebound.
You can take a look at the defense of Xavier. Double team and Gary Clark low. Get the ball out of his hands.
McCura, pretty. Reverse layup.
And by getting the ball out of Clark's hands and even Washington's hands on the block, they're making other guys maybe not as comfortable like Jennifer shoot the ball.
Here is Clark. Kick out. Cumberland. And a blocking foul will be called against Tyreek Jones. Our keys to success are sponsored by SoFi, offering smart solutions to help you reach your financial goals.
Well, for Cincinnati, they've got to be there at the catch. Xavier's an outstanding three-point shooting team. If a Cincinnati defender gets to Bluiett, Gates, and McCura after the catch, too late. And as far as Xavier's concerned, they've got to keep Cincinnati out of the paint. 19 offensive rebounds, 30 second chance points by literally the same front court personnel last year. They've got to find a solution.
Jaron Cumberland misses the first free throw, now 11 for 20 on the year at the free throw line. Cumberland averaging 11 points per game on the season. And that's the first point of the game so far for the Bearcats.
And that's one of the things Cincinnati has as a luxury. They've got a number of guys who can put points on the board as we see the full court pressure. You know, the versatility of the Cincinnati offense, as I mentioned, 88 points per game. That's kind of made them a different kind of Cincinnati team.
Again underneath for Tyreek Jones, and Jones has 4 points, and he's flexing his muscles as he's going down the court. He's got 4 of the 6 for the Musketeers.
And he's got a few to flex.
He does.
The young man down low is a load.
All 6 points for Xavier thus far have come in the paint. Clark in the paint. No. Gates with a rebound.
Solid defense against Gary Clark one-on-one.
Gooden. Too strong. And the rebound is pulled down by Kyle Washington. Evans the third for 3. Back rims it and a rebound for Jones. Gooden. He gets fouled, a reach in. I believe this will go against Jaron Cumberland. It will, and that's his first. One of the great aspects of this rivalry is that the head coaches are from this city. Mick Cronin attended Cincinnati's LaSalle High School, now in his 12th season as the head coach, 4-7 in this rivalry. Sean O'Mara has checked in. They get it to him underneath. Has it blocked by Cumberland. Didn't go up strong with the ball. Chris Mack in his 9th year. He went to Xavier, and he played at Cincinnati's St. Xavier High School. St. X.
And in looking at the last couple of possessions by Xavier, they've done a terrific job of taking away the help side for their post player, running high-low. And that allows the lob as Cincinnati seeks to front the post man. You can lob over that defense and get yourself a pretty easy shot.
The first shot of the game for Bluiett is good from 3.
Remember what I said at the beginning of the telecast, you got to be there at the catch. If you allow them to catch it and then try to contest, it's too late. They do a nice job of getting their feet set, shoulders squared, an excellent release.
Kane Broom has checked in with the ball, in some trouble, gets bailed out. A foul is called on J.P. McCura. That'll be his first. Remember last year, Trevon Bluiett, 9 of 11 from three-point land in this matchup.
I was there. That young man was unconscious. I mean, he had people draped all over him still, as I said, because of that outstanding form, able to knock down threes.
At the free throw line is Kane Broom, who misses the first. The transfer from Sacred Heart was a Northeast Conference Player of the Year a couple years ago when he averaged 23.1 points per game. 1 of 2 at the line. Both points so far for Cincinnati have come at the free throw line.
And again, here's the pressure. Cincinnati going man-to-man pressure. They will zone press as well. Looking to either control pace or speed you up.
A blocked shot by Nasir Brooks. Cumberland thought about the 3 and now turns it over. Was looking underneath for Brooks. McCura in transition.
Clark doing a nice job of crowding Kaiser Gates, who's an outstanding three-point shooter.
O'Mara off the glass.
Boy, Sean O'Mara does not miss on the season. 17 of 21 from the field. High percentage shooter.
A great start for Xavier. Gary Clark quiets the crowd for right now, hitting the first field goal for the Bearcats, and it's a 3.
And that's the versatility of Gary Clark. On the low post, they were double teaming. He's got the ability to step outside where he can get a one-on-one situation.
Bluiett puts it on the floor, attacks the hoop, and puts it in.
You got to do more than play him just to shoot the 3. Tremendously skilled, and he recognizes how to exploit defenses who want to just play him for the jump shot.
Clark against Gates. Turns it over. Here comes Bluiett. Underneath, O'Mara off the glass. Timeout, Cincinnati.
We talked about Cincinnati having to be there at the catch. If you get there after the catch, too late. And if you're playing for the jump shot, Trevon Bluiett has an answer. Man, Xavier living up to the hype.
The Crosstown Shootout. This is the 85th meeting between Cincinnati and Xavier. Some of the images over the years, it is certainly a heated rivalry. The players, the fans. First meeting took place back in 1928. They played every season since 1945-46. Xavier has upset #1 Cincinnati twice, both in 1996 and 1999. And how about this? Cincinnati has not won here at Xavier since 2001.
Well, you look at this environment and you can see that it is an uphill climb to try to maintain your composure and stay in this game. And right now, Cincinnati is challenged by that. But when you look at their schedule, you know, they haven't exactly played a team of this caliber yet. And to play a team like Xavier, the caliber of Xavier, the first time that you've met them on their home court, it's kind of a shell shock, particularly for the young player.
Rebound by O'Mara. Field goals so far not looking good for the Bearcats, as they are now 1 of 6 from the floor.
And you got to give Xavier's defense a great deal of that credit. They're doubling down low, taking away the high percentage shots. You know, they're getting out and challenging the perimeter shot.
Kaiser Gates for 3. He's been looking good this year from 3, and he hits that one.
Remember I said be there at the catch? There was no one there.
They were at the rebound. That went through the hoop, and now a kick ball by one of the freshmen, Paul Scruggs, who has checked in for Xavier, as well as Najee Marshall.
See, right now, Cincinnati seems to be trying to rely on Gary Clark to get some scoring, and nobody else really getting involved in the offense. You got Jaron Cumberland, you got Kane Broom, the transfer from Sacred Heart, who is normally a scorer. He's running the point right now. He's got to recognize he's got to be a threat as well.
Evans looking for Clark against Gates. Kick out. Evans, the corner 3. No. Evans with the offensive rebound. Clark with the offensive rebound. Excuse me, Broom. And we have got a foul on the floor. And this foul will go against Gates.
And Gary Clark, again, the marked man. He's got to be the conduit for this Cincinnati offense. It goes into him. Xavier doubles him, then he's got to kick it back and find the open man. But the open men have to knock down shots. Evans Broom with wide open looks, couldn't put it down.
Karen Cantor in for the first time. And the miss by Clark for 3, and a good rebound. And that's what Xavier has done much better so far early. Bluiett, the deep 3. Marshall had his hands up right away. Bluiett 2 for 2 from downtown. 21-5, Xavier leading.
But it bears repeating. You've got to get there and deny Bluiett. You got to run him off that 3-point line. That's why I say you got to be there at the catch. If you get there after the catch, it is too late.
Broom, good move to the hoop, and that's what he does. He's a scorer, and Mick Cronin said, I want him to take that aggressive approach from now on. Setting up the full court press.
Didn't seem like everybody's on the same page as Cincinnati. Double team, but no one else to cover the outlet.
Scruggs now running the point. Shot clock at 9. O'Mara doubles underneath, and it's going to be a turnover for Xavier. And it will be Cincinnati ball when we come back. Chris Mack thought that was off of Cincinnati. We'll see if they talk about it. Big lead for Xavier. Last year across town, Trevon Bluiett had one of the great performances in the Crosstown Shootout. Had 12 of 15 from the floor. 40 points, 9 of 11 from three-point land. You were there. Unbelievable.
It certainly was. I mean, your jaw just dropped. at his ability to find the open spot, and all he needed was a sliver of daylight. That was the easiest basket that he had all night.
He had 26 in the first half alone, and today he's almost picking up where he left off.
Well, you're going to take a look right here. Marshall with the little penetration, and Bluiett goes to the open spot. And watch the defense now. You can't afford to be confused as to who's going to guard him. He's got to get there. He's got to get there. And as I said, if you get there after the catch, too late.
8 points already in the game for Trevon Bluiett. His 40 last year, second most ever in the Crosstown Shootout, behind 45 from Steve Thomas in 1964.
I tell you what, if a cat dropped 40 on me the year before, I'm going to know where he is on the floor.
Broom to the hoop again, kick out, good ball movement. Cumberland may have shuffled the feet, got away with it. And the rebound is pulled down by Najee Marshall.
And the rim wasn't kind, but everything else was done the right way by Cumberland.
And now a foul called against Kane Broom against J.P. McCura. Broom didn't like the call. That's a second team foul against Cincinnati here in the first half. Scruggs a little bit shaky with the handle there, guarded by Broom.
See, the defense a little more challenging by Cincinnati right now as they're getting up, forcing receivers further out and trying to deny in shooting range.
And now the turnover. Evans up ahead for Broom, and Broom, and that'll be goaltending called against Scruggs. And now Scruggs will go to the bench. Quentin Gooden comes in for him.
Well, here on the break after the steal, the ball did hit the backboard first, and then Scruggs with a hand on it. Close, but still good call by the official. And the steal was created by Cincinnati's recognition of the high-low, something that they had been victimized of earlier. And now they're getting somebody, keeping them on the weak side and trying to avoid that lob over the defense.
Trayvon Scott and Justin Jennifer have checked in for Cincinnati. That means Broom goes to the 2-guard, and Jennifer will play the point. Well, nearly a travel right there.
Looked like one.
Nick Cronin wanted the call. Cantor with the left. He is a lefty, and he puts it in. Karam Cantor, the transfer from Wisconsin Green Bay. 23-9, Xavier leading.
And Cantor gives you that kind of Euro play. Big fellow is able to pick and pop and put it on the floor. More versatile than his size tells you.
Evans. Washington against Cantor. Little jump hook, no. Najee Marshall chases down the rebound.
Yeah, Washington's got to walk his man closer to the basket. Can't throw a jump hook 15 feet away.
Good ball movement. Cantor for three. Got it. First three of the season for Karam Cantor.
And did you see Jacob Evans' body language? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Good finish there by Kane Broom. You can see him being more aggressive going to the hoop.
Yeah, I mean, that's his game right there. He was a 2-guard at Sacred Heart. Heavy scorer. And he's been called upon to run the point, but his nature is to shoot the ball.
15-point lead for Xavier, under 10 to play here in the first half. Turnover by the freshman Marshall, a steal by Scott. Jennifer. And that will stay Cincinnati ball. And let's head over to the third member of our team today, Evan Daniels.
Fellas, Trevon Bluiett just ripped off a black belt. That is because he stiffened up his back on the way back from Las Vegas. Xavier trainer David Fluker told me it's a Hyper Ice Venom back wrap that uses heat and vibration to warm him up, loosen, and relax his lower back.
Well, so far he's looked good with 8 points. We'll see how he does after a spell on the bench.
3 for 3 from the field, so you know he's loose now.
If that's the case, we're putting one of those belts on. Clark gets doubled, taken away by Macura. Macura skip pass for Gooden. Here's Bluiett off the bench. First miss, rebound. Clark up ahead for Jennifer. Jennifer forces it. And good defense by Xavier.
Well, that time Jennifer's size worked against him. And Gary Clark, when he posts up, has got to be cognizant of the defense. Locate the D before you put it on the floor and make you move.
Bluiett against Jennifer. Trying to leave it off for Tyreek Jones. Up ahead, Broom all alone was able to leak out. And Kane Broom has been a spark off the bench. He's got 9 here for Cincinnati. Exactly what Mick Cronin wanted, bringing him off the bench.
Absolutely, and the Bearcats, they have to revert back to the identity everybody expects of them. They're going to get back into this ball game with their defense.
Cantor for 3 again. He's knocked them both down.
He is a matchup nightmare for Cincinnati. You get a smaller guy able to play him on the perimeter, and he shoots over him. And the big guys guarding him aren't quick enough to get out to guard him.
Xavier 5 of 7 from three-point land. Clark against Cantor. Throws it up, thought he was getting fouled, didn't get the whistle. Gooden, nice leave. Cantor gets it blocked by Nasir Brooks. Brooks gets it back against Gooden, has the height advantage, can't finish. The putback is good by Gary Clark. Offensive rebounding was such a key ingredient to the victory last year for the Bearcats. 30 points off of 19 offensive rebounds last year.
And right now, that was the first second chance bucket for Cincinnati in this complete game.
Gooden underneath for the dunk by Jones.
Tell you what, Quentin Gooden, he got his chance last year when Edmund Sumner got hurt, and he has really relaxed and played himself into being an outstanding point guard with that size and ability to penetrate.
Coming off 9 assists against Baylor on Tuesday night. Clark for 3. Big 3 right there by the senior out of Clayton, North Carolina.
Well, without Gary Clark, where would the Bearcats be at this moment in time? It still comes down to the defense, though. You can't allow that.
Macura can't finish. Clark gets the rebound. Here comes Evans. Kick out. Broom for 3. In and out. And Jones has the rebound. That could have been a huge 3 for the Bearcats. Cantor ahead of the defense. Cantor's got 10 off the bench for Xavier.
I tell you what, Cantor, as I said, nightmare matchup. If you're not quick enough to get outside, he'll bust the 3 on you. And certainly underneath, when you have that penetration from Gooden, he makes good things happen.
FS1 College Hoops is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Back here at the Cintas Center, 33-18. Xavier leading Cincinnati. Let's go inside the huddle with Xavier's Chris Mack.
Listen, on the defensive end, we started backpedaling in transition. We're down there and you're like jogging. You gotta be the guy that saves the ship. Protect the basket. JP, you're backpedaling. Like Jacob Evans, he's gonna go right past you. We gotta build walls and run back. The score doesn't dictate our effort.
And Chris Mack is absolutely right. He doesn't want to give any daylight to Cincinnati. He wants to keep his team sharp on the defensive end, cut down on their break opportunities, high percentage shots, and allow the half-court defense to do what it's been doing. Cincinnati shooting 33% from the field, and Xavier's done a terrific job on the glass. allowing only 2 second chance points by Cincinnati.
Cumberland, offensive foul. Sean O'Mara was there with position. Second foul against Jaron Cumberland. And now a substitution as Cumberland goes to the bench with those 2 fouls. Jacob Evans, the third, comes in. Trevor Moore has checked in for Cincinnati, the freshman out of Houston, Texas, who can shoot it.
And he's also a defender, a guy who might be able to spark Cincinnati on both ends of the floor. As you see zone pressure, again, slowing Xavier down.
And now the rebound by Moore. Tip ball. And it will be Cincinnati ball. All the Xavier players thought it was off a Bearcat. Chris Mack said it was off somebody's elbow. They just showed the replay up on the video board, and apparently the Xavier players and Chris Mack, they were all correct.
That's a dangerous replay in this environment.
Washington's jumper is long, and a foul is going to be called here against Gary Clark. This is what they missed. Watch it. Oh yeah, that was off of Kyle Washington's elbow. That foul is the first against Clark, the team's 4th. And the jacket has come off from Mick Cronin with 4:52 to go here in the first half.
And Kyle Washington, the senior's got to recognize that shot that he took is not helpful. You've got to be able to put pressure on the Xavier defense, not bail them out with long shots. Move the ball, maybe draw some fouls. That's how you get back into this ball game. And of course, you got to make a stop on the defensive end several times consecutively.
Macura behind the back pass. O'Mara can't finish. Coming the other way. Here comes Broom. And he gets fouled by Gates, and Broom will head to the free throw line.
And that's a much better decision. Even though the numbers were equal, Broom put pressure on the defense by penetrating to the basket. And in this stage, that's what you have to do. Don't bail them out with the long shots. Take a look right here. A little change of pace, blow by. And again, put pressure on the D as Gates had to come over and help.
Broom now 1 of 3 at the free throw line. He's got 9 points. Gates goes to the bench with 2 fouls. Back in as Karam Cantor.
We talked about Broom transfer from Sacred Heart. He was the Northeast Conference Player of the Year in 2015-16. Had to sit out last year because of the transfer rule. Cincinnati thought he would inject a great deal of offense and quickness into their attack.
And Mick Cronin even admitted to saying, hey, he had to learn how to coach him. And now this pressure defense forces the turnover by Quentin Gooden.
And as you mentioned, Mick said he had to learn how to coach him. He had to recognize that he's telling Broom to play basketball. Broom's expectation was that the coach wanted him to play the point and be a distributor. That's not in his nature. He's a high scorer, at least he was on that level in the Northeast Conference, and the expectation should be him putting points on the board any way he can.
Paul Scruggs comes in, replaces Gooden. Broom hits the runner. And Broom, he has provided a spark off the bench, exactly what Mick Cronin wanted.
Did a nice job of switching any down screens, a step outside to try to take away that initial pass that Xavier usually turns into a jump shot.
And now a foul on Broom. That'll be the 5th team foul against Cincinnati, which will lead us to a break with 3:56 to go here in the first half.
Halftime report, I'll be joined by the coach Steve Lavin and Donnie Marshall, who will tell you how Xavier's offense has been so effective. Plus, Big Ten Conference play is already underway. We got Indiana, Michigan highlights, and we get you set for Ohio State and Wisconsin over on Fox. That's at the half right now. Justin and Lynn, back to you. And by the way, Lynn, we love the beard in the studio.
Hey, I lost my razor, Mike. I had to do it this way.
So 33-21 is the score here at the Skyline Chili Crosstown Shootout. Skyline Chili, it's famous here in Cincinnati. The beard for Len Elmore, he couldn't partake in eating the Skyline Chili, but Evan Daniels and myself, we had to. I mean, how could we not? It's legendary, and it was my first experience eating Skyline Chili. Evan, your thoughts on what we had to eat?
I think you said it best, breakfast of champions. I thought it was terrific. If anybody that's from Cincinnati raves about Skyline Chili, actually my first time, I thought it was awesome.
I agree.
I tell you what, the reason I wasn't invited, because they don't have a bib big enough for me. My wife will tell you that.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I love this environment. This is awesome. This is college basketball at its best. You said it's about the city, it's about the people. The fact that Skyline Chili is the presenting sponsor, it's only fitting. Cantor. The miss and the rebound is ripped down by Kyle Washington.
Finally, a much better job of limiting Cantor's approach to the basket. But going back to the rivalry, think about how many people are employed by Xavier, are employed by UC, how many alumni are in the area. It's just an amazing, amazing rivalry because of that.
Clark got his own miss and now brings it to within 10.
And quiet as it's kept, it's been the defense of Cincinnati that's helped them get back in it.
Kick ball, they'll reset the shot clock to 20. Najee Marshall will come in, as will Tyreek Jones. Cantor and O'Mara go out for Xavier.
You know, Cincinnati has been getting up, more active and challenging the Xavier cutters as well as their shooters. And in the post, not allowing real deep setup. You know, they're taking away the high-low lob, and now Xavier's trying to post up, and they can't get a deep setup, as we saw with Cantor on the last possession.
Gooden has checked back in. Scruggs goes to the bench. Bluiett for three. Off the back rim, rebound for Gooden. He'll reset. McCura for three. That's good.
Just finished talking about Cincinnati's ability to finally challenge shooters. And once again, they get to McCura after the catch.
Second chance points. And Xavier 6 of 10 from three-point land here in the first half. Evans, pull-up jumper, got fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line and try to convert a three-point play. The foul is called against Quentin Gooden.
Just take a look at Evans, just uses the screen ever so slightly, and Gooden just reaches his hand out and touches the shooter. That's all he did. I mean, that's an unforced error, to be sure. Just let the jump shooter go and go get the rebound if there is one.
Evans converts the three-point play. He had 21 in last year's game. Back to a 10-point ball game.
And I think the pressure has also taken the Xavier rhythm away, as they've now had to back down and bring the ball up the floor. Too much ball handling, not enough passing.
Bluiett for three. Got it. Making shots makes up for broken rhythm.
Yeah, and that time they played a little inside out and caught Cincinnati kind of cheating inside. And as I said, a guy that dropped 40 on me the last game, you can't cheat on him.
Washington for an answer three. No, the ball's tipped to Clark. Nice spin move. Had it poked away, gets it back, blocked by Bluiett. Here comes Marshall. Marshall, and he's fouled by Trevor Moore. And quickly the officials get in, want to make sure nothing happens.
We talked about Cincinnati, how they were getting back into the game by being able to challenge shooters. But as I said, you get to Macura after the catch too late, and the same thing there. You know, playing hard-nosed defense can wear you down a little bit, and then you saw in the last two possessions, Cincinnati a half a step too slow.
J.P. Macura, Trevon Bluiett, the top scoring duo in Division I. Almost 2,900 points. And Najee Marshall knocks both free throws down, brings it back to a 15-point lead. And they rise to their feet here at the Cintas Center.
Right now, the goal for Cincinnati is to try to get it to 10 points by the end of the half.
Jennifer to the hoop with the left hand, puts it in. Can they get a stop?
And the flip side for Xavier, they want to continue to attack inside, pile up the fouls, and maybe obviously extend the lead. You mentioned 15. They're looking to try to answer and then some. Shot clock at 3.
Macura blocks, out of bounds, shot clock at 2.
That time it looked like Xavier went into some kind of delay.
And now a technical foul has been given to Mick Cronin.
You know we couldn't go through this game without a few fireworks. That's just the way it is in the Crosstown Shootout.
And that's a costly technical foul right there, because 2 seconds on the shot clock.
I don't know what the argument is. It's a good block right there.
Thoughts?
I'm not sure what Mick was thinking. Good defensive possession. 2 seconds left on the shot clock. His team has a chance to get the ball and maybe cut this thing to 10, as I mentioned, on the other end. And now he gives them an opportunity to get some free throws and make it more difficult to cut.
We're getting an explanation right now.
Technical foul on head coach Cincinnati. Double technical foul. White 55, black 5, they offset.
So we were just told it's a technical foul on Mick Cronin, and then double technical foul on Trevor Moore for Cincinnati and J.P. Macura of Xavier. Those offset. The reason for the free throws was because of the technical foul to Mick Cronin.
And I'm assuming that Mick was probably complaining as to who was the aggressor on the situation between Moore and Macura. Obviously taken up for his guy, Trevor Moore.
Quentin Gooden having trouble getting it in, turns it over. Evans back the other way. Evans, the European step through, puts it in. 13-point game, and now Xavier can hold for the final shot.
And Chris Mack is very vocal in saying, hold it. Got a 1-4 situation with Gooden handling it. He's going to be the one to try to penetrate and create something.
Gooden turns it over, 3 seconds. Clark has to put it up, doesn't get it off in time. No good. If he lays it in, it would have counted. He tried to dunk it.
It was just a little bit of the hesitation. He lost the handle on the way to the basket, and it was that split second that made the difference between scoring or having it waved off. Take a look at him dribbling right before that. Take a look. Too late.
Let's go over to Evan Daniels, who's with Chris Mack.
Chris, you wore the number 19 on his shirt all week to represent the offensive rebounds that Cincinnati had last year. Only a couple in the first half. How pleased are you with the effort on the offensive glass?
I don't really care. We got to do it for 2 halves. Cincinnati is a never-die team, and we understand that. And I could be wearing the same shirt a year from now if we don't do a great job in the second half.
What's your message to these guys?
Hey, we're playing 5 4-minute wars. This 6th war coming out of halftime is the most important war of our season. We're going to be ready.
Thanks, Chris.
Well, last year, Xavier led 44-36 at the half. This year, they lead 43-30 at the half. Last year, they lost 86-78. That's why Chris Mack is saying they've got to play 2 halves. Coming up, it's a Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report. Mike Hill, Steve Lavin, Donnie Marshall after this. It's a bit different last year to this year for the Xavier Musketeers as far as what they've done in the paint.
Yeah, the script has been flipped. Xavier, again, has done a terrific job of limiting Cincinnati in the paint and really attacking the glass themselves.
Justin Kutcher alongside Len Elmore. We were excited about the first half, and Xavier came out firing on all cylinders, living up to the hype. Cincinnati looked like they were getting back in. What did you take away from that first half?
Well, I thought Xavier did a terrific job. As good an offensive team as they are, they did a terrific job defensively. They've taken the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th leading scorers for Cincinnati totally out of this game. And Cincinnati cannot win unless they get these guys, Evans, Cumberland, and Washington, unless they get them involved and they demonstrate some success out there.
Basically, it's been Gary Clark and Kane Broome for Cincinnati. That's it. For Xavier, the guy standing right in front of us, Trevon Bluiett, dropped 40 in the meeting last year, 13 so far in this one in that first half.
And he's been the beneficiary of outstanding Xavier offensive rhythm. 13 assists on 16 field goals is what Xavier put out in the first half. They've got rhythm. Cincinnati has to upset that rhythm and do a better job on the glass as they've been outscored 10-4 in second chance points.
Starting lineup on the floor for Xavier. Gooden, Tyreek Jones, Bluiett, Makura, Bluiett, got it, and the foul. And the foul is called against Jaron Cumberland, and that's going to be his 3rd.
See how far Cumberland comes to take that charge. His problem is his foot was on the line in the restricted area. And unless he's got his hands straight up and goes straight up to try to block, kind of walling off, he's going to get called for that automatically.
Good footwork by Trayvon Scott.
And that's Cincinnati attacking inside, and that's what they need to do. Not only do they need to score high percentage shots, but they need to draw some fouls.
Kaiser Gates was playing with foul trouble in that first half. Had 2, Bluiett, the deep 3, got him. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right. My goodness. You cannot let Trevon Bluiett get started.
Clark leaves it off for Scott, and Scott with the left has back-to-back field goals here for the Bearcats.
But now that they've gotten, at least for now, they've gotten their offense solved by going inside out, you got to stop somebody on the defensive end.
The follow by Tyreek Jones. Jones got off to a quick start, then he went to the bench. Largest lead of the game here for the Musketeers, 17-point lead. Broome, off-balance shot, rebound Makura. McCura for three, off the mark. And the rebound by Gary Clark. And a reach and foul will be called here against Trevon Bluiett. Let's check in with Evan Daniels, who spoke with Mick Cronin at the half.
Yeah, Mick was calm coming out of the locker room. He said, every day we focus on three things. No layups, Xavier had 9. No threes, Xavier had 7. And no free throws, Xavier had 4. That made up all 43 of Xavier's points. Cincinnati needs to make it a little more difficult for Xavier on the offensive end of the floor.
But I'll tell you what, on the defensive end, Cincinnati in the second half now trying to command the paint.
Clark forced it, and now a reaching foul against him. That's number 2 against Clark, reaching in against Kaiser Gates. Tyreek Jones headed back to the locker room right now. He's the muscle down low for Xavier. They have a couple of other big men in O'Mara and Karen Cantor, but Tyreek Jones is that big athletic body down low. O'Mara is in right now.
And I talked about the Xavier rhythm, and it all comes down to Quentin Gooden, who's been handling the ball, running the offense.
A block by Jacob Evans on the attempt by McCura. Underneath, unable to finish as Clark. And a whistle and a foul, and that's going to be on Bluiett. Number 2 on Trevon Bluiett.
Well, with the tough shot on the other end by Xavier, Cincinnati kind of dodged one, and coming down on this end, you see what their plan is. They've got to get those high percentage shots, as we mentioned.
Moore for 3. Wow. Air ball.
Wow.
That's the first shot attempt for the freshman in this Crosstown shootout, and that's one he'd like to forget.
Yeah, but don't misjudge this young man by that one shot. He's an outstanding jump shooter, particularly from beyond the arc. You know, a converted football player who just somehow has terrific form. A good defender as well.
Shoots 44% from 3. Quentin Gooden using his strength to get all the way to the hoop.
And that's what I was talking about. Xavier did a nice job of spreading the floor and giving Gooden that one-on-one opportunity. And Gooden delivers good and plenty.
19-point lead, largest of the game for the Musketeers. And a turnover here by Broom. Turnovers have been a problem for him all season long. Gooden to the hoop, has it swatted away, and it will stay Xavier ball. Trayvon Scott with the block. And now a couple of subs, Washington and Jennifer come in.
See the drive, just crossing over, good defense on the other end, but that's the second time Quentin Gooden has gotten almost unassaulted getting to the hoop.
Tyreek Jones is back. He was just using the exercise bike.
You're not getting enough exercise out here right now?
McCura, good up and under off the glass. Who predicted this?
Not only that, but in the first half you saw a lot of good passing, 13 assists on 16 field goals. Now you're seeing Xavier isolate and go one-on-one, kind of changing things up, and Cincinnati has yet to adjust.
Washington just throws up a wild shot. Good defense by O'Mara. And a foul away from the ball will go against Kyle Washington.
That was a silly, silly foul. Kyle Washington's got some false hustle going on right now out of frustration. And we talked about, again, isolation going one-on-one. Look at this. J.P. McCura on Gary Clark. As you mentioned, the up and under, nicely done.
1-point lead for Xavier over Cincinnati. And Mick Cronin in his 12th year as the head coach of the Bearcats went to Cincinnati, but he also went to LaSalle High School here in Cincinnati. Look at Mick with hair. Class of 1990. His dad, Hep, legendary coach. Mick with the pose. Across the bench, it was Chris Mack, playing at St. Xavier High School. He was the 1987-88 Cincinnati Post Metro Player of the Year. And he was actually teammates with Mick's brother Dan on their travel team. Think about that. I mean, these guys grew up in Cincinnati. They went to rival high schools, and now they're coaching in the Crosstown Shootout.
But I tell you, it's the Hatfield and McCoys, man. Neighbors against neighbor.
It's such a cool story. I don't think anybody would have predicted this right now, as Gooden off the bounce puts it in. And Quentin Gooden has got 4 points and 8 assists so far.
Yeah, and again, Cincinnati does nothing to upset Xavier's rhythm as Gooden just takes his man. Finally, Cumberland comes through with an open look, and it's going to take an awful lot for Cincinnati to be able to come back, but that's certainly going to be helpful.
First 3 points of the day for Jaron Cumberland. O'Mara, a lot of spinning, and then he gets fouled.
Talked about Kyle Washington, third leading scorer on this team, and right now he is 0 for 4 from the field. Really hasn't given his team much of anything, and the reason he's sitting on the bench, the last foul was just a gimme foul, push the man out of the way. It's almost as though he was asking to come out. And I know Kyle Washington, I watched him ever since he was a freshman at NC State. That's not the type of player he is. Somehow though, he's got to shake those doldrums and start contributing for his team. Much too talented to be in the position he's in right now.
At the free throw line is Sean O'Mara, who's now 16 of 17 at the line on the season. 17 of 18 for the 6'10" grad student.
Good solid defense by Xavier, again on the cutters, taking away their path, overplaying the receivers, forcing the offense way outside.
The three is long by Clark, the rebound by Gooden.
And that just forces Cincinnati to take a low percentage shot as opposed to the first couple of possessions.
It's out of bounds off the leg of Gooden. Turnover Xavier. And checking back in is Paul Scruggs for Gooden.
Quentin Gooden gets a well-deserved rest. As we talked about before, he's picked his spots offensively to score, but he's certainly gotten his teammates involved with 8 assists, and he's a big part why Xavier has maintained consistency in their offensive rhythm.
Clark the skip pass. Evans for 3. Long. So Sema. It's out of bounds off of him, and it will be Xavier ball.
Xavier got away with a little push off right there. But when you're an aggressor, you get the calls.
Breaking the press without a problem. And Najee Marshall gets fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. And that foul is called against Eliel Sosema, his first and the team's 5th.
And if Cincinnati's going to persist in pressure, taking a look at the score right now, 22 points. Xavier's doing exactly what they need to. Attack, attack, attack.
You know, you mentioned this before, and I think it's worth noting. Cincinnati's schedule up to this point hasn't been challenging. They've played Savannah State, Western Carolina, Coppin State, Buffalo, Richmond, Wyoming, Alabama State. This is their first test. They're not passing the test so far.
No, and let's face it, it is uphill. They're on the road at probably their biggest rival. But nevertheless, they still have not played the way I think Mick Cronin expects and desires his team to play. Even if they were losing, he doesn't want them to lose like this.
As far as the Bearcats are concerned, it doesn't get any easier as they will play Florida next Saturday. Florida ranked 6th in the country. Then they have Mississippi State, and they're at UCLA.
Well, Florida, obviously an outstanding team, probably should have beaten Duke last week. Mississippi State undefeated, and UCLA at UCLA, they're still tough. It'll be Cincinnati's opportunity to get some payback because it was UCLA that ousted them from the NCAA tournament last year in the second round.
Scruggs, the spin move, hanging, has it blocked by Sosema. Up ahead, Jennifer puts it in. It's still a 21-point deficit here for the Bearcats, who are just 2 of their last 10 from the floor. Scruggs underneath, another block by Sosema, and a foul. And that foul will be called against Najee Marshall. First against Marshall, 4th against Xavier.
And Tyreek Jones just walked off the floor. Looks like he's still got an issue. I don't know, he's stretching like it's cramps, but it looked as though it might have been an ankle or joint that he was kind of limping off from. But in the end, it still comes down to the pressure. It's forced Xavier to kind of rush a little bit. The last 2 possessions, Cincinnati's gotten the better of it.
Cumberland, no. Cantor with the rebound, and the big man hands it off. Gets it back, can't handle it though. Sosema for Clark. And he's able to draw the foul, and he'll go to the free throw line. The foul will be called against J.P. McCura.
Now, Chris Mack has some luxury. He's got some cushion right now with the team out there, but the freshman, Paul Scruggs, has got to run this offense a little more smoothly, not force passes, looking at time and score. You know, recognize they don't have to be in a hurry. Time is on their side, and they've got that cushion.
The foul was the 3rd against McCura. Clark at the free throw line.
And the other luxury that Chris Mack has is he's got Quentin Gooden on the bench who can lead this team. And he's got an opportunity to give Scruggs some valuable experience time, but knows that he can count on the veteran.
There is Tyreek Jones just sitting on the floor right now. And also a luxury is with a 21-point lead, he just brought in Kaiser Gates and Trevon Bluiett. They do have, it looks like a heating pad on the knee of Tyreek Jones.
Yeah, I thought he was flexing something on his left leg, and obviously it turns out to be his knee. And he limped off the court.
Scruggs underneath, kick out up top, Bluiett for 3. In and out. Cantor with the offensive rebound. Spins it back to his left hand and puts it in. He could be a really good added bonus for the Musketeers this year.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Give him some scoring from a number of positions, forcing some tough matchups against the opposing team's front line.
Marshall able to knock it out, and a timeout here on the floor. 22-point lead for Xavier here at the Cintas Center. It's St. Louis against Butler, followed by Sacred Heart taking on St. John's at 4:30 Eastern. It's all happening on FS1 or stream it live on Fox Sports Go. 62-40, Xavier all over Cincinnati here in the Crosstown Shootout. Let's go inside the huddle with Chris Mack.
This is the war that you dreamt about. That when we were in that locker room, we were in that ballroom last night, that we talked about. No other war. This one right here. This is our war. If you're on the post, you front. If you're in the box, when they drill out an X, you X and you're there. We build. Shot goes up, you ain't getting a second shot. Now on offense.
Well, there's not much else Chris Mack can tell his team with a 22-point lead. He wants them to remain sharp, aggressive, and hungry. And when you talk about the way he wants to compete, you know it's personal too.
Oh, yeah. He said it to us yesterday. He said guys that he's friends with, that he grew up with, that are Cincinnati fans, they don't talk to him this week. They want him to lose. They will not talk to him until after the game. Cumberland for three, knocks it down. Second three of the game for Jaron Cumberland, who averages 11 points per game and shoots it at over 37% from three-point land.
And that's one of those shots, again, that initially, if you're Xavier, you can give up and hope that they take more of those and probably miss the majority of them. It's the high percentage shots and the consecutives that you don't want.
Trevon Bluiett answers right back with a three of his own. And that brings him over 20 for the game. He's got 22. It's his 32nd career 20-point game and his 6th this season.
And if you're Cincinnati, that's just not the kind of shot you can afford to give up with this deficit, especially to that guy.
Gates short. Rebound Marshall has it blocked by Clark. And Cantor gets fouled, and who will this be on? I believe it's Trayvon Scott. It is. The first against Scott, the 6th team foul. And the next one, and Xavier shooting free throws the rest of the way. Back rims the first free throw, does scare him Cantor.
Well, regardless, though, you talk about flipping the script last year. 30 points off of second chance opportunities for Cincinnati. This time it's the other way around. 17 to 4 in second chance opportunities. And it's Xavier's advantage.
Cumberland able to get out in transition. One of the few transition buckets that Xavier's given up in this ball game.
And it should never happen off of a made free throw.
Cantor, good move underneath, gets back to his dominant hand.
He doesn't look that nifty down low, but make no mistake about it, excellent footwork by Cantor.
He's got 15. Good move by Gary Clark to come right back.
Right back at you, as you mentioned, with Gary Clark with his footwork and ability to handle.
Marshall had the opening, tries to kick it out, stolen by Cumberland. Cumberland hanging, gets the roll. Jaron Cumberland now with 11 points as Cincinnati will try to set up a press, and it leads to a travel by Paul Scruggs. Doug Schau says, yep, you shuffled.
We'll take a look at Kareem Cantor with the little spin move and goes baseline. And as I said, this young man fundamentally skilled. He can shoot the jump shot down low. He's a presence. And what he does, he presents a tough matchup for the opponents because of his versatility.
And now we see the bio, or 3 things you need to know about Kareem Cantor. His brother Enos plays for the Knicks. Cumberland starting to heat up here in the second half, has 12 points in the half, 13 in the game, 68-51. Cincinnati trying to make a run. Tip ball, turnover, Evans. Broom has it knocked away by Gooden, will stay Cincinnati ball. Evans just told Broom, next time shoot that.
I'll tell you what, throughout this game, you would think Cincinnati's being held hostage by, an outstanding execution by Xavier, but they're showing some proof of life right here. Not going to go down easy.
Under 9 to go. Cumberland's had the hot hand, the step back. That's for 2, no. And we're going to have a foul. And this foul is going to go against Trevon Scott. And shooting free throws will be Kaiser Gates. Second foul against Scott, 7th team foul, so 1-1. Earlier, we saw Gary Clark go to the bench, and he was hobbling over. And this is the reason why. Bang knees with the freshman Najee Marshall.
No pun intended, that's a huge blow. Cincinnati's ability to try to come back in this ball game.
Maybe it was the hip flexor.
Yeah, well, he looked like he might have taken an elbow someplace in the midsection. But this is not exactly where he or Mick Cronin want him to be right now in the course of this game.
Gates knocks both free throws down. Paul Scruggs comes in for Kaiser Gates. And Chris Mack says, hey, pick him up full court. 70-51. Xavier leading. Evans with the left and the foul. The foul against Cantor.
And that's one way to neutralize Cantor. As proficient as he is on the offensive end, defensively he lacks something. And this is a time for Cincinnati to exploit him. Here on the switch, Evans using the screen, he gets Cantor on him and takes him straight to the cup.
Evans converts the three-point play. Just 6 points on the day for Jacob Evans, who averages just under 12. But able to set up the full court press. Gooden is back in to run the point. Makura in the corner for 3. And the rebound. Here comes Evans. Cumberland. And a foul against Scruggs, ran out, not under control. And that's the 17th foul against Xavier, so 1-1 here for Jaron Cumberland. And you know you're in that position right here for Cincinnati, where you have the next couple of minutes to make a run, to make this a game.
Yeah, and Xavier has to expect Cincinnati to make a run. They're too good not to. But in order to make that run successful, Cincinnati's got to be very smart on the offensive end with regard to the shots they take, the passes that they make, and on the defensive end, they've got to string together some stops.
Cumberland knocks both free throws down.
And the good thing for Cincinnati is you've got enough depth where you can run guys in and out and, have guys that are still energized to be able to run this pressure.
Bluiett has it blocked by Sosema. Broom in the corner for 3. Doesn't get the roll. Out of bounds. Off for Bluiett will be Cincinnati ball with 7:52 to go.
Chris Mack taking no chances.
The Bearcats are making a run. It's back to a 14-point game. Cincinnati on down an 11-2 run to make it a 14-point game with 7:52 to go. It's the Crosstown Shootout, and when we say Crosstown, it's literally Crosstown. From Fifth Third Arena on the campus of Cincinnati, here to the Cintas Center on the campus of Xavier, it is 3.4 miles. And if you're wondering, how do you drive those 3.4 miles? Well, this is what you do. You leave Fifth Third Arena, that's under construction right now. And of the notable rivalries, this is the closest one in college basketball.
Tell you what, I kind of like it. I remember not too long ago, I was pressed into service to do 2 games. One at Cincinnati Fifth Third, and then due to illness of another analyst, they drove me across town to do the second game. Luckily, it was that close.
Those fans, who knows? Maybe they drove across town, maybe they live over here. You never know. But Cincinnati trying to get back in it, showing the fight. Clark is back in, draws the foul against Bluiett. It'll be 2 free throws for Clark in the 3rd foul against Trevon Bluiett.
And that was a good call. And watch Bluiett's arms. Clark goes down. He's really taking Bluiett in, and then he gets in front. Instead of being straight up, every guy thinks your arms are straight up, but his were leaning forward and created the contact.
Clark misses the free throw.
Any comeback that a team makes has got to be punctuated by being able to make your free throws. You can't make your free throws, you're not coming back.
He's 2 for 4 at the line in a substitution. They want the defense of Eliel Sosema back in there. Clark goes to the bench. 12-2 run. Xavier able to handle the press this time. Shot clock down to 8. Bluiett in the paint. Doesn't get the roll, and the rebound comes out to Evans. Here come the Bearcats. Evans travels. Good job by Najee Marshall getting in front of him, and Evans couldn't figure out exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah, Evans probably would have been better off Euro stepping, but that obviously is not in his repertoire. 5 seconds.
Yep, 5-second violation. And for the senior Trevon Bluiett, that's one of those mistakes that you can ill afford to make. You've got all these timeouts remaining. Just use one at that point.
Yeah, and you know, you can only use it at about 3.5 seconds. Once you get to 4, the officials are not going to give you that 5th second. They're not going to allow you to call it.
Cumberland's 3 off the mark. Clark fighting for the rebound. Cincinnati gets it. They'll reset. 7 minutes to go. Clark for 3. Back rim. And the rebound by Gooden.
And that's not the guy, even though Gary Clark has shown the ability to shoot the 3, he's better off down low on the blocks, battling on the glass, or posting up.
Cincinnati, with this run, has brought the crowd back in it at the Cintas Center. They thought they had an easy win. But the Bearcats, like nuisance birds, just climbing back in it, won't go away.
And speaking of nuisance, Xavier trying to be judicious with the clock, even though there's 6 minutes and 18 seconds left, trying to use some of that clock. But what it's done, it knocks them out of rhythm. And when they're knocked out of rhythm, Cincinnati able to kind of, you know, put the defensive blanket on them and force some tough shots.
Shot clock at 5 seconds for Xavier. Macura, 3 seconds. Step back, throws it up well short, and that'll be a shot clock violation. So 6:13 to go. Cincinnati has a chance to bring it to within 10 with a 3.
Yeah,
a 12-2 run by the Bearcats.
Yeah, I would, if I'm Chris Mack, I call off the delay of the game and trying to use the clock. I let these guys go back to flowing on the offensive end. And that may be too late now.
Evans, he'll pull up for three. And the rebound by Gooden.
And that, to me, demonstrates that Xavier has taken away the inside. That's a bad pass by Gooden. You don't need that pass.
14th turnover of the game for Xavier. And they're just letting now Cincinnati stay in it. Back-to-back turnovers. A shot clock violation, and now that careless pass.
Watch Gary Clark stay down low now. He's much more effective down on the block.
Against Gates. Kick out. Shot clock down to 7. And a carrying violation against Kane Broom. We've got turnovers. We've got bad shot selection.
We got pressure. That's what it yields, those kinds of mistakes.
We've got Skyline Chili. It's the Crosstown Shootout. Cincinnati has never led in this game. They're down by 13. They have trailed by as many as 23. O'Mara, skip pass. Gooden for three. No. Gates with the offensive rebound and put back. Cincinnati had a player, Yancey Gates, who can get some offensive rebounds back in the day. This time it's Kaiser Gates for Xavier getting the offensive rebound and the putback.
Well, Kaiser Gates, an outstanding long-range shooter. Mick Roden not happy about the outlook. And Chris Mack urging his guys on.
Is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. 72-57. Last year his offensive rebound, second chance points for the Bearcats. That last possession, that was a story for Xavier.
Absolutely huge. One of the biggest baskets. Take a look at Kaiser Gates being guarded by Jaron Cumberland. Look at Cumberland, I'm sorry, was guarded by Evans, but Cumberland gets there, can't get position, and Gates in perfect position. You know, he's had 62 field goal attempts this year. Only 8 have been of the 2-point variety, and none bigger than that one.
Look at the difference last year versus this year inside play. You think Chris Mack made that a point of emphasis leading up to this game?
No kidding. Well, we saw practice yesterday, and it was a tooth and nail battle in their rebounding drill.
Broom has it blocked by Gates. Musketeers, Bluiett for three. O'Mara the offensive rebound, the putback no, tipped by Gates no, out of bounds, will stay Xavier ball. Karam Cantor will come back in for O'Mara. Also back into the game is Eliel Sosema for Cincinnati.
Wow. Talk about competing on the glass.
This place would have gone nuts had that three gone in for Bluiett. Gooden has it blocked by Clark. That is the 10th team block for Cincinnati.
And Gary Clark, there's not a whole heck of a lot more he can do. He's been a marked man, just 5 of 15 from the field, 7 rebounds, and he's playing the defensive end as well. But he's got to get some help, and that help hasn't come too often.
A foul will be called against Keith Williams. number 2 who has checked in. That's number 1 against Williams, the freshman out of Brooklyn, New York. It is the 8th team foul, so 1-1 here for Quentin Gooden.
And again, in that situation, that's almost a giveaway. Fortunate for Cincinnati, they didn't hit the free throw.
Just the 2nd miss of the year from the free throw line for Gooden. All the way to the hoop goes Evans, and a timeout here by Mick Cronin.
Well, that's a glimpse of what Jacob Evans can do, but is it too little, too late?
4:11 to go, 13-point lead for the Musketeers.
Who was taking on Keelan Martin and the Butler Bulldogs coming off that big comeback win against Ohio State. But right now, we want to get you back out to the Cintas Center for the conclusion of the Cincinnati Xavier game. Justin Kutcher, Len Elmore, fellas.
Mike, thank you very much. 72-59. That's the score. Xavier leading Cincinnati here. And guess what? The Musketeers all-time here at the Cintas Center, 232-35. That is 6th best in the nation, and today they have set a new record. 10,817 fans have come here to watch this Crosstown shootout. That breaks the record that they set back on February 24th of 2016 against Villanova. And Mick Cronin is asking for a technical foul as we have had basketballs thrown onto the floor.
You got to get some points any way you can. And Mick's trying to get the officials to adhere to the letter of the law. Or maybe even stretch the law.
And a foul trying to trap Gooden. And the foul will be called against Eliel Sosema. 9th team foul, 1-1. Gooden goes to the free throw line. Gooden 0 for 1 at the line. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. He does have 6 turnovers on the day.
But fortunately for Xavier, at the time when he had that rash of turnovers, they were comfortably ahead in the high teens, and so it didn't really hurt him.
Knocks down the first free throw. Jaron Cumberland comes back in, replacing Keith Williams. Offense, defense type substitutions right now for Mick Cronin. Evans against McCura. Broom for 3. Got it. Makes it a 12-point game. Gates open for 3. Takes it and makes it.
Oh, when you're hot, baby. There was no conscience on that shot, no hesitation.
Cumberland, his step back jumper in and out. Cantor with the rebound. You said it before. You wanted them to be aggressive. He was aggressive with that shot, playing in the flow. Cantor tries to go baseline, draws the foul. You know, we mentioned the Cintas Center. Mick Cronin said to us last night that this rivalry ratcheted up a notch when Xavier built this arena. This is the 18th season of this Cintas Center, one of the best on-campus venues I've been to.
Yep.
And in this rivalry, Xavier is 6-1 here at the Cintas Center.
And you can see why. I mean, look at the activity of this crowd. They are into it. When we came in, it was a sea of white as those white T-shirts draped every single seat in this place. And when you're coming out for warm-ups as the opposing team and you see that, you know, it's a little daunting. And right away, Xavier jumped on Cincinnati, and I think some of the residual intimidation is the cause of that.
Evans able to knock down the jumper. Two and a half to go. Macura. And that's going to be out of bounds off of Macura. Will be Cincinnati ball.
Oh boy, that's J.P. Macura sometimes in a nutshell. He's going into overdrive. I mean, he's a guy that is fearless, doesn't mind the big moments, will come at you hard. And sometimes he goes a little too hard.
Evans, the third, knocks down the three, and a timeout taken by Cincinnati. 79-67, 2:16 to go here in Xavier. For the Musketeers, and what does this game mean to the people of Cincinnati, to the fans? Well, this was last night. The students of Xavier camping out with tents here at the Cintas Center. 5:30 p.m. They began lining up, slept overnight. Then this morning at 6 a.m. it was much quieter. This morning, Chris Mack came and addressed them.
310 days to play this game. 310 days. And I'm going to tell you right now, when those guys get off the bus and they walk into the arena, and I'm talking about the other team 3 miles away, you make sure that you make their day from noon to 2:15, whatever it takes, the hardest 2 hours of their entire life.
And those students have done a really good job.
Yeah, they took it to heart. There's no question.
The donuts paid off.
And thus far, this has been the hardest 2 hours and plus of Cincinnati's Bearcats team. This year's version of it has been the hardest that they have to experience this year so far.
Bluiett fouled. He'll go to the free throw line for 2. As it's now the double bonus. The foul is on Jacob Evans, the third. Bluiett on the day is 22 points, 7 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 10 from 3. And he's 3 of 3 at the free throw line, now 4 of 4.
And again, when we compare last year's game at Cincinnati where the Bearcats mauled Xavier on the glass, this year a different story. Xavier's plus 16 on the glass, plus 14 in second chance points. You know, they took Chris Mack's admonition to heart that they needed to work on that glass, and they certainly did.
Evans now with 17. Gates to the hoop, has it blocked. So Sema, he is a defensive presence for Cincinnati. Evans for 3. Tip back. Cumberland for 3. That's in and out. And the rebound by Gates with 1:30 to go. And Bluiett gets fouled by Cumberland. We've talked so much about how this game means so much for the people of Cincinnati, for the fans of Cincinnati. Our producer, Aaron Stoikoff, is a Cincinnati native, grew up in North College Hill. This game means a lot to him. I'm sure it's a lot of fun for him to produce this game. He's done a great job. It's 80-69. No rooting interest for him. I have no idea who he likes.
I was going to say,
I know he loves this game.
He hasn't told us. Come on, Aaron, whisper in our ears. Let us know who you're rooting for. What did he say? The winner? No.
Yeah. This is truly a special, special rivalry.
And we talk about the proximity. A lot of times at these rivalries, teams, they take the long bus home, the long plane ride home. These guys go 3 miles away. They still have to hear it on the radio, read it in the papers, and hear it in the local establishments.
Let out your inner child at the Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Lease the 2018 ES350 for $319 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Now, baby, stack that beef. Lay that Swiss. Whoa. Wrap it up. Oh, a basket instead. Okay. Reuben is back for a limited time at Subway. So much Reuben.
1:28 to go here in this Crosstown shootout. The 85th meeting between Cincinnati and Xavier, 81-69. Xavier leading. This is the 4th time these teams have met when both are in the top 25. As Jacob Evans III knocks down a 3, brings it to within 10 for the first time since early in the first half. Tip ball, Cumberland gets it.
3-possession ball game.
Evans for 3. Doesn't get the roll. O'Mara gets the rebound. You got a foul.
You would think.
And there is the foul. And the foul is against Trevon Scott. And Bluiett's 5 of 7 at the free throw line. Trevon Bluiett went for 40 last year in this game. Doesn't have 40 today, but he's done pretty well.
Yeah, 24 points, 5 of 10 from beyond the arc. It may not be the superhuman presence that he had last year, but he has definitely been a factor in this game on the offensive end.
And now with that free throw, his 9th career game with 25 points. And at this point, if Xavier makes the free throws, they win the game. And they will have won 7 straight here at the Cintas Center against Cincinnati. It would also be their 35th straight non-conference win here at the Cintas Center. The corner 3 is an air ball by Moore. And the foul is given by Broom. The guys in the Cincinnati bench, they know what's coming. Quentin Gooden at the free throw line.
It's time to let that chili flow. Load those conies, which are the hot dogs with the cheese and all the stuff you guys ate.
All the stuff that Evan and I had earlier. Gooden makes them both. A foul will be called against Gooden with 37.1. You mean that?
Just like that, though. I'm always wondering, a guy from New York, born and raised in Brooklyn, going to Coney Island many times. How do they call that a coney? Where does that come from?
You know, conies are also popular in Detroit.
But yeah, that's celebration right there. It was going to flow regardless of who won this game, though. You know that.
Last year, it was Cincinnati winning at home. This time, it's the Musketeers here at home against the number 11th ranked Bearcats. And the foul given by Broom. 4th time these teams have met when in the top 25. Happened for the first time back in 1994 when Xavier was ranked number 22. Cincinnati was ranked 19th. Xavier won 82-76 in overtime. In the 15-16 season, Xavier was ranked 12th. Cincinnati was ranked 23rd. And Xavier won 66-55. Then last year, Cincinnati was ranked 19th, Xavier 24th, and Cincinnati won 86-78. And this year, J.P. Macura will check out, get a standing ovation and big-time hugs.
I mean, those are the kind of hugs you reserve for postseason tournaments.
For senior day.
Yeah. Well, this is Macura's last time playing in this Crosstown shootout. Same thing with Trevon Bluiett.
Evans knocks down another three.
And we can say the same things for Gary Clark and Kyle Washington.
20 seconds to go. And Justin Jennifer, another foul. The student section with the USA Soccer chant going. I believe that we will win.
It's a safe bet now.
The upcoming games for the Musketeers. They've got Kent State coming up on Wednesday. Next week, next Saturday against Colorado. And now Bluiett checks out. And a hug from his coach. Marshall with the rebound. And that will do it. The Xavier Musketeers gave up 30 points last year off of 19 offensive rebounds. It was a point of emphasis for this year. They certainly redeemed themselves. 89-76. They've now won 8 of 11 Crosstown shootouts. For Len Elmore and Evan Daniels, I'm Justin Kutcher. Let's now send you to St. Louis at Butler. Here's Vince Welch and Nick Bob.